to find peace in our days. The present moment is all we have. Don't let it slip away. If we close our eyes, remember all that we have. Our hearts will feel a brighter day. We'll sing Namo Amida, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida, Namo Amida Butsu. Sometimes we get overwhelmed by all the hatred and pain. If we can look past our differences, there's so much we can gain. If we open our eyes to see the beauty inside, our hearts will feel a brighter day. We'll sing Namo Amida, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida, Namo Amida Butsu. Let's join our hands together in gratitude we treasure the golden chain of love. Our hearts gathered in one place, our differences will embrace. We will be as one. Namo Amida, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida, Namo Amida Butsu.
And now, live from Makua Honganji in historic Makua town, on the beautiful island of Maui in the great state of Hawaii, it's BuddhaDharma Storytime! Starring Barkley the dog, Lucy the ladybug, and you, the rainbow sangha of BuddhaDharma buddies from around the world. Yeehaw! Aloha kakahiaka, and good morning, Dharma buddies. It's me, Barkley the dog, the rascal dog. Ruff, ruff, ruff. How y'all doing today? Yeehaw! I think that's Lucy the ladybug, the love of my life. Oh, actually, this is right here. Let's say aloha. Aloha kako. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for coming to visit us this morning. You look wonderful. Mahalo, we look good, we feel good, we are good, but not too much. Say, Sensei, how'd your vaccine go? Well, thanks for asking, Barkley. That's very kind of you. Can I share a secret with you and our Dharma buddies from around the world? I'm actually scared of needles. But don't tell anyone, okay? Because they might think I'm a scaredy cat. The vaccine actually doesn't hurt so much, but the needles make me scared. So let me tell you what I do. I just close my eyes, take a deep breath, and I say, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. So after I got the shot, I felt funny for a couple of days. So I took a couple of days off to rest, and now I look good, I feel good, I am good, but not too much. Well, the best thing about getting the vaccine is that with everyone's help, pretty soon we'll be able to play with our BuddhaDharma buddies from around the world in person again. Won't that be fun? That's right, for just a bit longer, let's stay on guard, wash your hands a whole bunch, and all the time, okay? And wear a mask to protect other people, and get the vaccine when it's your turn. Say, Sensei, what's today's story time book on the page? Well, I'm glad you asked, Barkley, because today's story is Children of the Earth, Remember, by Schimmell.
Children of the Earth, Remember, by Schimmell. Children of the Earth, remember. Somewhere in the deepest black velvet of space, there spins a brilliant blue world. From afar, this world looks like a beautiful blue and white clouded marble. But the closer we get, the more colors we see. Reds and browns and yellows and all shades of green. There are many worlds spinning through space, but this world is special. This is no ordinary world. There are animals on this planet, billions of animals, more animals than all the twinkling stars in the night sky. And all of these animals are the children of this world, for this world is their mother, and we call this world Mother Earth. The animals are not alone on Mother Earth. There are people living there too, billions of people, more people than all the twinkling stars in the night sky. And all of these people are the children of Mother Earth too. So the animals and the people and Mother Earth are all one big family. And the dolphins play, and the birds sing, and the deer dance, and the people live. In the deepest black velvet of space spins the family of Mother Earth, and the animals remember. They remember Mother Earth before there were people. They remember how all the forests were thick and lush and green, how all the oceans and rivers and lakes were pure and crystal clear, how the sky was such a bright, brilliant blue. And the animals remember when they saw the first people. In the beginning, very few, but soon more and more and more, until there were people everywhere on Mother Earth. Still, there were more animals than people, and the people shared Mother Earth with the animals. They remembered that the animals were their sisters and brothers. They remembered that they were all part of one big family. And the animals and the people were the eyes and heart of Mother Earth. So when dolphins played, Mother Earth played. When birds sang, Mother Earth sang. When deer danced, Mother Earth danced. And when people loved, Mother Earth loved. Time passed, and more people were born. More and more and more people, until finally there were more people than animals. And the people forgot. They forgot to share Mother Earth's land and water and sky with the animals. They forgot that the animals were their sisters and brothers. They forgot that they were all part of one big family of Mother Earth. The people forgot, but the animals remembered. And they knew they would have to remind the people. So every day, our sisters and brothers remind us. And when dolphins play, people remember. When birds sing, people remember. When deer dance, people remember. And when people remember, they love. Children of the Earth, Remember, by Schimmell. Remember. Good morning. Let us begin by reflecting upon the wisdom, the Dharma of Shinran Shonin, the founder of Jodashin Buddhism and the Honganji tradition. Persons who truly realize Shinjin, as they say Amida's name, being mindful of Buddha always, wish to respond in gratitude to the great benevolence. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo. The words of Shinran Shonin in the Hymns of the Dharma Ages, verse number 30, which you can find in the Collected Works of Shinran, volume 1, page 406. My grandmother, on my father's side, Chieko Ishida Kiyohara, Buddhist name, Shaku Shōei, disciple of Shakyamuni Buddha, truly eternal, was born in Kaitacho, a small town in Hiroshima, Japan, on December 28, 1903. We all called her Bachan, which my Mexican friends in Los Angeles instantly recognized as being the Japanese equivalent of abuelita, or little grandma, as an expression in Spanish, which is used as a term of endearment. So Bachan immigrated to the United States in 1919, at age 16, to marry my grandfather, Sasaichi Kiyohara, also from Kaitacho in Hiroshima. Certainly it wasn't an easy life. America wasn't the land of milk and honey, and the state of California had promulgated anti-Asian laws that specifically targeted Asian immigrants, especially the Chinese and Japanese. Bachan used to tell stories of being so afraid of white demons that she used to hide under the bed when people came up to the door. Bachan never really learned to speak English fluently, and yet the causes and conditions of her life required her to cook, clean, and care for dozens of Japanese and Mexican migrant workers who traveled by truck from farm to farm to pick vegetables in season from sunrise to sunset. Bachan's first child, daughter Mihoko, died before her first birthday, and Bachan went on to give birth to 5 children, 4 boys and 1 girl. My father, Akira Kiyohara, was the 3rd son of 4 boys, and he was born in Guadalupe, California. In 1941, the Kiyohara family was rounded up without due process guaranteed under the Constitution of the United States of America, and illegally incarcerated in the middle of the deserts of Poston, Arizona, in a so-called internment camp or relocation center. Bachan's 2 eldest sons, my uncles, served in the U.S. Army as interpreters in the Military Intelligence Service, MIS, during the war, and at General MacArthur's GHQ, General Headquarters, during the occupation of post-war Japan. My father graduated from high school in Poston internment camp, where he was a Life Scout in the Boy Scouts of America, and he would later be drafted to serve in the Korean War. After World War II ended, the Kiyohara family settled in Los Angeles in the West Adams district, one of the few neighborhoods where Japs were allowed to live, along with Mexicans and Chicanos. In 1956, Bachan became a U.S. citizen in the first year that Japanese nationals were allowed to naturalize, which is quite remarkable because she was never really fluent in English. On February 28, 1964, my grandfather, Sasaichi Kiyohara, passed away. I remember the funeral, and especially hearing Bachan crying inconsolably in her bedroom at the family house. And this was my first real experience of the reality of death and the pain of grieving. I was only 4 years old. But my strongest memories of Bachan is when she's smiling and laughing all the time, giving the children bazooka bubblegum and arare, rice crackers, and rice paper ripe botan candies, which came with a little toy in the box on the side. And these were all carefully stashed in the top drawer in the breakfast nook at the rear of the house. Bachan's favorite phrases were, "You, all right or no? Are you all right? Ito shinasai. You need to eat something. Yojin shinasai. Be careful." So Mimi remembers Bachan telling her, "Warui hito wa inai yo." There are no bad people. Bachan was always smiling. When I was in university, I studied Japanese so I could make Bachan proud, so that I could talk to her in Japanese. And this simple decision led to a 23-year career in Asia Pacific while based in Japan, and 3 years in China, and now being allowed to be the resident minister of Mako Honganji on the beautiful island of Maui. The second time I saw Bachan cry was when Mimi and I presented our son to her. Her eyes teared up as she exclaimed joyfully, "Oh, the third generation of the Kiyohara family in America. I've seen the face of a great-grandchild. Now I can die happily." The last time I saw Bachan, she was at the end of life. After a long illness, her body had wasted away and was just a shell of the Bachan that I remembered, and her appearance scared me. I was unable to say much of anything, and I have always felt guilty that I was not able to give her some kind of comfort. And Bachan was born in the Pure Land on October 4th, 1998. Her youngest son, our Uncle Ronnie, and he was the rough, tough, grumpy uncle who terrorized me as a child. In November 2015, I returned to Los Angeles to be the family caregiver at the end of life for Uncle Ronnie. I had found many excuses not to go earlier because I feared death and dying people. But eventually, I forced myself to go. When I arrived, he was in hospice care at home with a long beard and mustache, and he was struggling to breathe and sleeping most of the time. The first time he woke up, Uncle Ronnie looked at me in confusion. And then he smiled and said, "Hey, Kerry, thanks for coming. Where's Mimi?" And I said, "Mimi had to work. She's back in Honolulu." "Oh, tell her I love her." And then he went back to sleep. So I spent the next couple of hours cleaning his apartment and being briefed by the caregiver about how to give narcotic painkillers and anti-anxiety drugs. So I cleaned up his butsudan and moved it to the living room. I reset the adornments, moved the photographs of Ji-chan, Ba-chan, and my father so that he could see them. I lit a candle and some incense and sat next to Uncle Ronnie. And I started chanting a sutra. And suddenly he woke up and he put his hands together and he said, "All right, I'm ready to go. Let's get this over with. Namandab, namandab, namandab." And I was shocked. This is my rough, tough, mean-talking uncle, and he was saying the Nembutsu. So I gave him my nenju, and we said the Nembutsu together. We chatted for a little bit, and eventually he went back to sleep. Late that evening, the caregiver told me that I should go back to the hotel and just get some sleep. At 6:30 in the morning, the caregiver called and said Uncle was not responsive, although he was still breathing. So I called the family members, including his sister, who came as soon as they could. Auntie was holding his hand, fighting back tears, when suddenly I had to make a pot of tea. Now, normally I'm not a make a pot of tea kind of guy, but for some reason I knew I had to make a pot of tea. As the water started boiling, Auntie said, "Kerry, I think Uncle has stopped breathing." I confirmed that Uncle wasn't breathing and had no pulse, and I called the hospice doctor and the family, and then the temple to arrange the makurogyo, the bedside service, immediately following the passing of a loved one. And I realized that I was actually angry because I had imagined myself as the valiant caregiver, but he had died within 24 hours of my arrival. How inconsiderate of Uncle to die so quickly. And in that thought moment, I realized how stupid and selfish my ego makes me. And seeing my uncle face his death calmly and find refuge in the Nembutsu, show consideration for others on his deathbed, this was a turning point for me at age 55. This was the moment I decided to pursue Tokudo ordination in 2016 and Kyoshi, certification as an instructor, in 2018. And then Shin Buddhist ministry as the purpose of my life. My uncle showed me how to face death, how my fears of dying people were unfounded, and how my ego self was indeed just a silly fool wrapped up in my own self-centered little world. After the funeral, I was cleaning up the Kiyohara family home in Los Angeles and discovered Bachan's secret to being happy all the time. In Japanese, the first characters of each line spell out Namo Amida Butsu. Namu Amida Butsu. So in Japanese, the word Niko-Niko means to be for a happy and kind and gentle smile. It means to smile, Niko-Niko. So this poem translates something like this. Do whatever you do with gratitude and effort. Smile while you work hard. Never say impossible. Never get angry. In the home, always smile. Don't put it off for another day. Listen to the Dharma, and let's all smile together. We are all children of Amida, and we say the Nembutsu and smile with the heart of Buddha. Taking care with our words and actions, be helpful to others and smile. Believe in the Dharma, be true and real, and smile purely and joyfully. Namantats, namantats. This poem and the calligraphy is attributed to the Reverend Ryu-e Masuoka, who served the Honganji at BCA temples for many, many years, and was Rinban. He was the head priest of the Los Angeles Betsuin. My memories of Bachan and the lessons that Uncle Ronnie taught me on his deathbed now serve me as I live the life of a Honganji minister. Much of my work is visiting people at the end of life, people who are dying. So I conduct the Rinju Gongyo, the bedside services before the person is born in the Pure Land. I help people to cope with the death of a loved one. The Makura-gyo, bedside service, immediately after the person has left this world and is born in the Pure Land. By officiating funeral services, 7-day services, 49-day services, 100-day services, encouraging people to gather for these memorial services, which are held months and years after the passing of a loved one. Buddhism teaches us that the truth of impermanence, that death is the natural outcome of birth, that aging is the end result of youth, and that dying can be faced with dignity and courage and a smile. The truth of impermanence teaches us to cherish this moment, to not take for granted the unrepeatable moments we are allowed to spend with loved ones, with friends, with community. The truth of impermanence teaches us not to be so self-centered, to realize that a life of Nembutsu, a life of saying Namo Amida Butsu in gratitude for this life that we have been given, truly, this is freedom from the bondage of selfishness. When we begin to see life as a gift, a treasure, an opportunity to be kind and gentle to all living things, then we begin to see that we actually live in the Pure Land right now, and that Bodhisattva, enlightened beings, are all around us, and that Amida's great love and great compassion are real. The promise of Amida's 18th vow, the primal vow, the Hongan in Honganji, is that we are already embraced by great compassion, that death is not to be feared because our birth in the Pure Land is assured, and we will return in oneness with Amida, and we will return to this world to help other people. If we open our eyes to reality as it is, the power of Amida's vow manifests itself in our lives in every moment of each day. The Pure Land is here and now. My ego, my anger, my greed, my delusions, my self-centeredness just blind me to the fact that great compassion and great wisdom are in my life, right here and right now. So this is truly bonno, or blindingly self-centered desires. So single-heartedly listening to and then truly hearing the calling voice of Amida, Namo Amida Butsu, is to wake up and to see just how silly and self-centered my ego self makes me. So Bachan, Uncle Ronnie, and so many of others have guided my return to the path of Nembutsu, which literally translates as mindfulness of the Buddha Amida. Or more simply, just put it simply, just saying Namo Amida Butsu in gratitude for the absolute assurance of birth in the Pure Land to becoming Buddha. Take a moment to reflect on the great ohana of your life, and let the aloha in your heart come bursting out as mahalo for this unrepeatable life by putting your palms together, bowing your heads, and saying Namo Amida Butsu in gratitude for the kindness and understanding, the compassion and wisdom in your life. Just say Namo Amida Butsu in joy for the chance to get out there today and live in each moment of this unrepeatable life. When we truly awaken to the gift of life, we become humble. When we truly awaken to the gifts we are given in our lives every day, we become grateful. When we truly awaken to the gifts we can give to other people, we become compassionate. And when we truly awaken to our heart and mind that is humble, grateful, and compassionate, we are freed from the bondage of selfishness, and we can live life with strength and serenity, accepting whatever comes our way as this unrepeatable life unfolds naturally. This is the faith of Shinjin. It's a state of mind, a state of being, a change of heart, a change of attitude that completely transforms our lives. The faith of Shinjin comes to us through the working of Amida, Namo Amida Butsu, great compassion, great love, and wisdom in our lives. When we say Namo Amida Butsu, we are responding in gratitude to the great kindness of Amida for embracing us just as we are in this unrepeatable life, just as it is. Just say Namo Amida Butsu and smile. The essence of Shin Buddhism, as taught by Shinran Shonin, is the faith of Shinjin, Amida's great love and great compassion, transforming our all too human hearts and minds so that we are empowered to respond in gratitude to life as it unfolds naturally. Just say mahalo. Mahalo for listening this morning. And may your day be filled with aloha. Naman Nabats, Naman Nabats, Naman Nabats, Naman Nabats.
Deep things express for our dead to teachers, for their guidance through. We dedicate ourselves in gratefulness. Amida. belong.